In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to reupholster a dining chair seat like this. Be sure to download the free plans for this dining chair upholstery project. Just follow the link below this video. First, gather your materials. You can find a list of materials in the plans, which include a link to our shop where you can purchase a dining chair upholstery kit for your project. There are lots of variations for seat foundations. For this project, we're using 1/2-inch plywood. Start by drawing a center line from back to front on your plywood. Then place your plywood on top of your foam, leaving an overlap equal to the thickness of the wood. Mark your lines and extend the center line from the plywood onto the foam. To cut your foam, you can either use an electric carving knife or a sturdy pair of shears. For this project, we're using shears since they work just fine for this 1-inch thickness of foam. Just be sure to cut perpendicular to the table so you don't get a beveled edge. Check your sizing and you're ready to glue. Here we're using a non-toxic water-based glue, which takes a couple of hours to dry. Gluing is an important step to prevent shifting of the foam as you're working with it. Once your glue is dry, place your wood and foam on top of the wool batting with the backing facing up. The backing provides an easy marking surface, but if you don't have backing, just mark it as best you can. Cut it so you have enough wool to wrap around onto the plywood. Remember to turn the wool so the backing faces away from the foam. Next, lay out your cover fabric with your ticking fabric on top and place your wood foam wool sandwich onto the fabric. Make sure that the straight grain, pattern, or nap of your cover fabric is aligned with the center line before marking and cutting your fabric about 1 inch larger than the wool batting. Extend the center line of the wood, marking the batting and both layers of fabric. To prepare for stapling, you'll want to reduce the bulk of the wool by feathering it around the edges. To feather, hold the wool about 1 inch away from the foam with one hand as you pull away about 90% of the bulk from the outer edge. The result is the full thickness of wool wraps around the foam itself, with a very thin layer wrapping onto the plywood. This is a good time to check to be sure the foam does not fold over the backside of the plywood at any point along the edge, and trim it if necessary. For this project, I'm using a pneumatic upholstery stapler, staple lifter, and pliers. You can read about substitutes and find links to tool resources in the free plans with this video. I recommend using 1/4-inch staples for initial tacking, 3/8 to finish, and use 1/2-inch staples only for securing thicker fabrics at the corners. The most important rule of stapling is to begin at the centers and work your way out to the corners. Start with one staple front and back, matching your fabric centers to your wood centers. You can place temporary tacks at each side before turning your seat over to make sure that your fabric is straight before tacking across the front. By tacking, I mean I'll be removing these staples as I work, so fasten them loosely if you can. While the corners are still easily accessible, this is a good time to make sure the foam doesn't fold over to the back at the corners. If you press the foam toward the wood, you can see where it will add unnecessary bulk. Here you can see how I'm trimming off the excess. At this point, your fabric will be straight, but very baggy. To get a nice tight fit, smooth your fabric firmly from back to front, beginning at the center and working your way out to the corners. Remove your tacked staples and re-tack across the back. Once you have it very snug from front to back, you can begin working side to side. I'm leaving the corners unstapled for now, just concentrating on getting the top surface of the seat tight and straight. Once you're satisfied with the front, back, and sides, you can move on to the corners. At this point, you're going to have a lot of extra bulk at the corners. Pull away the wool and angle your stapling pattern, still tacking, toward the corner. Next, to remove even more bulk, carefully trim back the ticking fabric to the corner, being sure not to nick the cover fabric as you cut. Before finishing the corners, finish staple about 1 inch away from the edges and about 1/2 inch apart, removing tacked staples as you go. Finished staples can be 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch depending on the thickness of your fabric. This is a good time to trim away any excess ticking fabric as well. Now you're ready to finish the corners. With your finished staples in place, you can trim away the excess cover fabric along the edges and at the corners, as I'm demonstrating here. Place your staples close together and right up to the corner point, trimming the fold-over fabric to the outermost staple. I'm using white fabric here just for contrast to give you a better view of how the fold-over works. The trick with all upholstery is to reduce bulk as much as possible without compromising the coverage of the piece. So if you trim bit by bit, you should find a happy medium based on your specific fabric's type and weight. Hopefully this lesson will help you end up with nice, neat corners like this. For a professional finish, you can apply a bottom cloth, also known as cambric, which can be any lightweight black fabric. Cut your cambric fabric about 1/2 inch larger than your finished cushion. Turn it under and staple it to the bottom of your seat about 1/2 inch from the edge all the way around. The final step is to attach the seat to your chair and celebrate a job well done. Thanks for watching. Remember to download the free plans at the link below this video, and if you found this lesson helpful, be sure to subscribe, like, and share it with others you know who might be planning to reupholster their dining chair seat.